actually, like, gameplay-wise doesn't really matter. But I think, yeah, I think Venge is pretty cool.
It is hard save, after all, but I was actually thinking maybe they'd go for something like a Bloodseeker. Like, I feel like we have the same scenario as we did in the first game, where
5 seconds remain.
Whereas in this case, you go for the Venge. Like, this doesn't answer Slark.
I think this game they can fight though. Like if OG
Definitely.
runs at them, they have the ability to fight back. They have damage, they have spells that are usable to get kills. Like, I think whilst killing Slark is gonna be killing the other 4 is not necessarily the case. They have a troll lane against Monkey King. See how that goes. Monkey Rubik against, I assume. Oh, actually, never mind. Hero 4, right?
Well, specifically with these two,
Yeah.
they can play it either way.
Okay,
Like they're
so they
very
swap the
comfortable
lanes
in being
around.
able
I
to
see.
swap lanes. So
I see.
which would you rather have the Jakiro as a ranged hero against Monkey King?
So something OG can do that's really cool is they can put Legion Commander with a Monkey drop lane, and then Slark in the safe lane where they have 2 purges, so Jakiro no longer has a good lane.
I think that's the key, and this is why I believe is playing the LC here, because to Aiden's point earlier, as a core LC against this Jakiro spamming mangoes and Harathu, at a point which is not what you want to use for support. But as a 5 position, Notel is very content. Just, you know, you trade better than Jakiro. You're going to run at them, you're going to spam Q, spam W. Your core in the game. So I think wherever Jakiro goes, I Notel in that.
Looking good.
I can see them laning it either way. Like Rubik Slark also feels a bit weird. Slark, because of the way his hero works, he wants to run up and trade with you. Having some sort of sustain that allows you to use Essence Shift is quite important for his laning phase. So
And one that gives you extra attack speed too. That sounds pretty
not too
sick.
bad. Yeah, not too bad.
Point as well. It's another LC. It's just such a great hero.
Specifically with the heroes being run right now.
Yes.
Tiny. Okay,
Makes
if they're
a lot
gonna
of
do
sense.
Slark, that's really good.
Yeah.
Sven has been popular right now. That's
Precisely.
another one.
You talking to me?
Did you happen to see our last series, Secret versus SG?
I caught bits and
You
pieces.
talking
Did
to
you
me?
see the? That was the best Ogre Magi Fire Shield I've ever seen in my life.
No, I don't.
Because
well,
I mean, have you experimented with the
Yeah, I've
Fire
heard a little
Shield?
bit
It,
about
it
this.
doesn't really feel like that amazing, right?
I actually think it feels pretty good most of the time. Yeah.
They were specifically played up against Sven Io, Earthshaker Core, Chain Totem.
Told you a
And Mars.
storm was coming.
I was like,
Yeah.
God damn.
You're reducing a lot of damage.
It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And now I just, you know, like, I always think that I love support experimentation.
Yeah. I think this whole Legion 5, right, it started with Puppy at Hamburg a couple of years back.
Yeah, that was a long time
And I
ago.
think it was a pretty interesting interview that they asked him, like, why are you playing 5? And he just answered, well, all the 5s are just bad. And why not play a 4?
Fight resumes.
And that, I think, started this, opened up this idea of, like, running a lot more heroes.
I think, yeah, exactly. And you also just don't have to spend as much gold, right? Buy a sentry. Everything else can be spent on yourself. And
Yeah.
else, like, they're really, the support role has kind of changed to just farm creep. But it comes down to what's the best kit. Like, what gives my allies the most support within a game. And LC just, you know, BKB lockdown is really tough to come by. I also wanted to touch on OG's final bans. I thought were really... Don't like the Venge as much as perhaps the Darkseer or Enigma, which were banned out. Because T1, they didn't have that big AoE ultimate finisher. And that's also, of course, to cover the
Just
Slark
30
that's coming. Because
seconds.
an Enigma pick would have actually been real nice, even with already on it.
Yeah. I think it's very similar to how Rubik and Jakiro interact. It makes Rubik's game better, but it doesn't necessarily counter Enigma's game. Enigma still does what Enigma wants to do. So, whether Rubik is there or not, it doesn't really change anything for that matter. For like, whether you should pick it or you can't.
Now, for anybody who's tuning in and maybe doesn't watch a ton of Dota, can you guys break down very simply what are the strengths of T1's lineup and what are they looking for compared to OG?
Okay, so I think T1, in order to win this game, they need to do well in the lanes, and then they need to use the advantage they get in lanes, stop OG from running at them. Because OG is going to hit a timing similar to the last game, where T1 is trying to farm the Vengeful Ags, they're trying to get Storm's items, and they're trying to farm up the Troll. And they need, when you end up in that position against OG, I think you generally will and force OG to fight on your terms. I think that's where they might struggle a bit in this particular game.
Especially a Storm who's ahead, like straight to take over the game. I like this start though. They're looking to tri lane I think this is a great answer to both an LC support and a Slark. Slark needs levels. You want to trade. You can't do that in a 3-on-3. You just straight up spam the spells.
So they're trying to push in the first wave here to get lane control. If you look at 23 Savage, he's trying to drag the creeps up to connect to the next lane.
Perfect.
Which will make the Train Protector all the more effective.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to cut off people, get a good Nature's Grasp in. And that just depends on Cuckoo having an okay time, which we saw, like, the Fate Beyond, they would do this all the time on LGD when they were running the offlane bench. They would just kind of throw him to the wolves at the beginning.
Yeah. I think Slark is actually a pretty good hero against most tri-lanes, though. Especially tri-lanes that don't kill. Because you're going to get a lot of farm once you hit level 2 or 3.
Looking good.
So on. So as long as you have sustain for the Slark, I think he's going to be able to get quite a lot of CS here in the bottom lane anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, they control the lane, but they've given up level 2. The one benefit of No-Tail as well, the Q provides easy ways of just...
Yeah.
Oh, and they forced the TP from Saksa, and now they just Jakiro back up top, but no lane control there either. Kind of an odd movement from T1, to be honest, but...
I like it. I think it's good. I think that they're throwing off the laning phase. They're not letting it just play out the way OG wants it to. And I think they're making the game weird, which throws off timings, and it gives Storm space mid. And I think they want to play off of the fact that Storm beats Ember in the lane mid, so they're able to get control runes and high pressure.
That was really cool, because when they did that rotation, it was also just perfectly timed for Whitemon to get a hard camp pull.
Yeah.
So he immediately gets creepy equilibrium, which was what Kyle, you said, it was kind of a problem. Now they're going to put some pressure onto Seb, where he was probably wondering, where the hell is my creep wave? And he meets Whitemon, who's now in lane, and they're going to move No-Tail over.
Yep, he follows Jakiro.
Yeah, so now suddenly they have a troll triumph against Slark Rubik, which is a good lane matchup for them. I think what T1 are doing right now is actually very, very intelligent. They're making OG, like, respond to the way they want to play the game. And now, instead of OG applying pressure to them, they're dictating how this...
Yeah, the fact that they can... That starting off with an aggro tri-lane resulted in this, that basically OG, they knew they were going to respond in a certain way that they would be able to get an advantage.
I think they probably talked about this as soon as the draft ended. We go tri-lane, if Rubik comes bottom, I go top, we pressure like this. This way we get like a mid laner come online, and they have like an... It really feels like they're playing with an idea. I always like seeing that when you see these teams, like for example we said OG, right? They have a lot of different straps, but if T1 feels like they know what they're doing, they might just be the stronger team.
Yeah, again, I was super excited for this matchup because I thought like these were going to be two titans of team fight just smashing against each other. Might be able to get that in this game too.
I think like we did our best to pretend like that last game was close in anybody's game, but realistically, once it was that 15-minute nighttime and OG had total control, like T1 just can't play Dota. This is a very different type of game, and I think we're going to see a much closer one.
Yeah, absolutely. In the first game, I didn't really understand the last pick either, but this time, now that I see the way they've set up their lanes, the way they're trying to approach the game, I think it makes sense to pick this one. Venge is like a pretty good hero for this type of playstyle, where they have 3 lanes that they can kill. They have initiation on all 3 lanes. You have Troll with the slow, you have Venge with the stun, and you have Storm with the pull. So they have the option of like making moves on all the lanes.
he knows he's gonna go for the slight steal, right?
Oh,
wow! Get the double bounty or the double
Beautiful
water room. That is very smart by Carl. Let's see if he actually wins through this. With the flame guard pulling him back in, he's gonna be able to take out the. If he runs through the second remnant, it'll go away. Oh, we missed out on first round, but this fight is so fun.
Oh man, that was like what's the Eastwood movie? The Standoff?
Samael keeps on going and actually trades some boards, but Samael's racked up some serious stats, is going to be able to get the double kill in this lane, so... Lost that bottom one.
Oh, he had 20 stick too, so he was just 4 HP playing out. That was so cool. They just sat there for 3 seconds.
That was just like both of the players know exactly what's going to happen, and they're like trying to throw off each other's timings. That was beautifully played.
Yeah, and then the fight for top rune where Carl like, man, so good. If either player blinks, they'd probably get the kill, maybe straight up in the lane, but nobody did.
23 Savage to the top lane. Looks like they no longer want to play out this bottom one with Sumail getting so big. They're going to try and run down Seb. Seb nicely positions himself to be able to get multiple stuns. They managed to hit him a couple times. He's still bleeding out on damage, but the dual breath didn't hit him, so they have to get a little bit more. Finally, they get the magic missile. That'll finish him off.
That was just like he mischief dodged the auto attack.
Yeah.
That would have. You saw him start the animation of jumping in the tree, but got hit just before. That was pretty.
That was
nice.
extremely close. I genuinely thought he was gonna get up.
I mean, Seb, still impressing. You know, one eye, boomer fingers. He's still got it.
They had top 3 net worth there for a moment, so definitely feeling good about their laning phase.
That should
I
help.
think despite what T1 did in the early game, it seems like all the OG cores are managing quite fine, and I think these kills bottom really bumped Sumail up.
Hey, Zoxa. It's me, Carl. Double damage rune. Third kill for T1.
Would have preferred if they let Carl grab it. I think Coop got a little. He just stop cancel the attack he had originally. But the trouble is that this Slark is having a free game. He's now level 6, so he's effectively always on map. And Sumail is the linking fish, right? That's the hero we're concerned about T1 finding an answer to.
Yeah,
Where's the boy? Jump after him, Thompson. He's got that remnant left. The damage is not enough, and Carl got the last hit there with the DD. Very nice. These two playing up against each other mid is a lot of fun.
I mean, I think that they're both very, very important for their respective teams. I think T1 absolutely needs Carl to come online, and I think they need to control the runes for him. This DD rune is what effectively gets them this kill mid, and whoever gets the 8-minute rune is going to have a pretty big advantage.
I want to point out something I think that is pretty cool. Remember when they were top lane, the troll TP top, they went for that kill and Seb got it. The Venge and the Tree walked all the way to bottom lane to keep their TPs up. So if OG tries to get aggressive, they can still respond.
Yeah, I think they learned from the first game, right? They want to be able to play pace. They want to be able to control what OG does.
Yeah. Still not dealing with Sumail, who currently has 4,000 net worth, when the second highest is still Thompson at 3. They're going to rotate into Stormtree though. Carl trying to look for a big win here in the top lane, and this pace is going to make them probably 2 kills here as both the supports on OG will fall.
Yeah, this does, however, mean that Ember gets a free rune, so let's see what he can do with that response.
See, the everything's beelining for them. Top's going to get controlled by OG. Of all the runes, man.
Comes the response move.
Carl, he's not afraid even with Thompson here. He says, okay, probably don't have chains. Not really in much danger here. Thompson gonna make use of that arcane rune to make sure he's gonna survive here. Seth gonna receive a helping hand here. Bit of a purge dealing with that Jakiro, which is gonna be constant problem for him. Zephyr is gonna be run down by the Amber Spirit.
That's your best.
Knows the radius of this remnant. He's just dancing around it like it's a landmine. Gonna grab a quick stack. And the nice thing about this though for OG is that their carry is completely protected.
Heroes during this entire... He's just been hitting creeps. Yeah, the OG's doing a great job of moving attention away from their carry.
I mean, we've criticized him, right, for not using his minimap in this game.
He doesn't need to, that's why.
Who cares what's happening?
Yeah,
if we go to player perspective, it's what Cap's looking at right here, bottom lane.
Yeah, if your team plays the way OG does, you genuinely don't need a minimap as a carry.
Those are called inside jokes, guys. You gotta give context to the viewer. You say, we criticize them. You didn't say it on broadcast. What are you guys talking about?
We've been joking about it for the last couple of days, that if Sumail had an option to hide minimap, he would.
See more of his screen.
Exactly.
And that's a joke that stemmed from his time on Liquid.
On Liquid,
Dyer's top tower.
And why did that happen?
You have to ask your best friend William Lee.
Well, yeah, I mean, you told me he died once when he had vision,
That's
and you guys
probably
just
what happened.
memed him out of existence.
Probably, I don't remember how this started, but it was probably, he got ganked mid when there was a ward, and William was watching his player perspective thinking Sumail's gonna back off here, and then Sumail didn't.
Oh, here now.
And William was like, Sumail, that's good. And and then we all started leaving him.
And then it's just set in stone. Carl's out of mana. Well, does have 6 magic wand charges, so he's kind of baiting him in a little bit for one last jump away, and that jump is far enough. Sumail trying to catch him midway through. 23 Savage right in the middle of all of these heroes. Oh, he's going to be a swan back. 2 seconds. He doesn't actually have his ult. Oh, no, Sumail. Then T1 realized they made a grave here. Savage is going to get off a good ultimate, though, and in return, 23 Savage has overextended himself and will receive tips from OG.
That is unfortunate. I think 23 said it best. Sumail, a bit of a blunder there. I think he was trying to like catch the storm. As you said, Savage just kind of returned the favor.
I think he stormed up too far. He didn't expect him to be able to jump that far, so he must have had a
Between Soul Ring and I think it's 6 magic wand charges. Yeah. Whitemon almost dying there. Thompson still playing the edges, looking for the last light. They are going to be able to get a nice over going along and down, but the guys have followed up. Thompson instead. Sumail may just fall again if they can somehow get in front of him. They've got a swamp. Sumail's going to show. There it is. Swamp back. Stunned while the Dark Pact is down. And T1 holding their ground, holding the line around the tier 1 tower, winning these fights.
And this goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? If you let T1 fight, if you let them play to their limits, you put them in a position where they're allowed to play Dota, they're a fantastic team. And they're showing that here. They're holding their own against OG.
Carl's balling out. He's 5-0-3. But, like, his score doesn't really reflect, like, how much he's, like, had to play Dota this game. Pretty much dueling Thompson since minute 2. Another kind of uncharacteristic mistake from Sumail. Yes, I am talking to you. I'm not quite sure what on towers, my friend.
Yeah, he was having a totally free game. Don't you just kind of like chill out?
I mean, the Storm thing, it would have been a big play, you know? He didn't expect the Soul Ring. He gets that. We're talking about how sick of a play that is.
That's true.
This is what Dota comes down to ultimately, like, these small things. And I think right now, when it comes to the micro decision making, T1 looks slightly sharper. I think OG, when it came to the macro and like the decision making and understanding how to execute their drafts, that's really been their strengths.
Yeah.
And I think when OG's forced to play these micro decision making games, that's when they sometimes tend to suffer.
No, it's a really good point, because like this game, there's no huge like strategical advantage or edge OG can lean on. They just gotta ball out. Like they just gotta play Dota and hope the best.
They're gonna pop out, but at the same time, T1 did smoke over, so it's gonna be full out team fight. He's gonna turn be able to get on Thompson as well. No root just yet. Slide into a chain out. They're gonna be able to get away on him. The core survived. The supports will die.
It's so hard to play with GTX. Like, just see, you know, maybe. In the past, you had experience playing like World of Warcraft, you know, standing just slightly out of range of the fire or the roots, but in this case, if you catch it for a second, I think Notel was saving the W there, but ends up just kind of standing in macro fire and dies to a root troll.
Sumail did get solo mid-tower as a result of that.
So this is what OG does so well, and I noticed them doing in all these games. Like, yeah, they lost the team fight, but they traded 1 for 2, and they only effectively lost their 2 supports. T1 burnt a lot of cooldowns, they brought their carry to the fight, and Sumail's just free farming still. Sumail's getting to choose when he wants to fight against heroes. So even though like he's died twice here, a little bit uncharacteristically, it's only been because of his own mistakes. It's not because T1's not able to apply any pressure to his game. And it's pretty telling. It means that OG are heavily in control of the game. And I think if you ask the OG players right now, like, who's winning, they're like, we're dominating this game. Everything's going the way we are expecting it to.
Yeah, I mean, Thompson got away with this pretty greedy build as well, maxed out W, and like, Maelstrom already. Like, he's just able to farm now very efficiently. Sev.
Over here now.
Jump in, jump out.
Looking good.
Rune spawn bottom, ultimately DD for Thompson. So you're saying that like OG probably thinks that they feel really good about this game. Dota Plus actually has T1 up 66%. Do you agree with that? Are you saying like just OG thinks that this game is going fine, but it's not actually the case?
I think OG are happy because they're in control. They're setting the pace of the game. I think that's what they want to be doing. And they know that as long as it's like the game is on them to mess up. They know that T1's gonna. And I think as T1, you feel good because you're always playing the response game to the enemy team. You're not like if you notice, trolls in every engagement. Every time we move our camera somewhere, there's a troll there. He's being poked. He's being harassed. But Carl is balling out of control. So I mean, Carl is feeling himself for sure. he's enjoying this thoroughly.
Now, you say they won't feel good reacting all the time. Is that just like a general rule, or do like some players or teams prefer reacting to the enemy making moves?
So I think you enjoy reacting when you're killing them and then you're getting something out of it. You know that you're progressing your game. You're getting closer to where you want to be. And I mean, obviously they have been, but I think like if you think about all the small things that are going in their favor, all it takes is one of these fights not to, and then suddenly we're gonna feel like Stark is unkillable and we can't do anything about it. So I think from OG's perspective, they feel like they can lose 10 fights, but as soon as they win one, the map is going to open up for them.
Okay. So T1 has to parry perfectly every single time.
Exactly.
And we haven't seen them slip up yet.
No, exactly. I think what T1's doing is like perfect, but OG also are aware of that. Like, he needs to keep going this.
I love the
White quickly killed T1. Actually, they stole Macropire on Soxa. That's a big pickup.
Sumail, he went for the Dark Pact cooldown, and it's because he's just trying to lose condition. Like Aiden is saying, that his deaths are kind of on him. It's really tough for T1 to deal with Slark in this game. Unless Troll or Storm just gets like an item ahead. And even then it's still a little rough because you're playing with no-tail in your back pocket. So I think that's part of the reason Carl is like skipping the Orchid here, because it's still not killing Slark. Even if he can't save himself, if no-tail's just there, that entire item is now squandered, and I really like the Kaisan for that reason. Better fit here.
It feels like T1's strategy to win this game is they're going to try to play like a ball so Slark doesn't feel comfortable running into them, and then they're going to try to kill off the other heroes. They want to leave Slark for last and like deal with him once they get there.
And you said early on, like the strategy for T1, win the lanes, which they didn't actually. They need to like during this crucial period of time where Venge, Storm, and Troll all need items, and we're about to reach the end of that, right? Kuku is about to get his items up.
And that is huge. Like, yeah, Venge doesn't help too much with the Slark, but it is a great defensive save for the bounce. But it's also really nice. Monkey King can get out of the Wukong. We saw it used offensively to get Slark killed earlier.
And swapping Monkey out of
and Aghanims doesn't give charges to the Slark. In addition, it's like 2 lives, right? So you can just be this frontliner that your team kind of needs, plus damage steroid for the Troll.
Gotcha! Oh, stole a Macropire. That's actually going to do enough damage to be able to quickly kill Carl. Great play from Soxa and Sumail, and a big pickup too. 599 bounty for Carl.
The sentry, was that just so he didn't have vision of the Slark to be that close?
Go for it here. Kuku does have this. He actually doesn't have the Aghanims just yet. The Overgrowth just off the mark there. Little awkward. 23 Savage not able to catch up to Thompson. It's just this trio that is forcing a pretty big response out of T1, but the axe is now here for Kuku.
I'm loving it. Just no-tail is just so good in these games. It's like he always seems to be right place, right time.
I think that's always been one of his biggest strengths as a player. I mean, his understanding of the map, I think, like, for as long as I can remember, I've always thought is like probably one of the best in the world. Even back when he used to play carry and used to play these Nagas and stuff, he always knew like where to be, where to cut, what waves to be on. And I think, yeah, he's utilizing it perfectly here, even as a support player.
Yeah. Like, if Thompson doesn't have no-tail with him there, he just kind of feeds, and he's like, what's he doing, guys? But no-tail with the immediate cleanse of the initial stun. Like, the root, we heard the root animation, and it didn't seem like he spent any time rooted.
Yeah, so let me tell you a secret. I learned this when I was playing with Sumail. When you have these really over-aggressive player types, like Sumail when he's mid, or Thompson, you kind of get it for free almost, because you know they're going to run into trouble. Because you've seen it happen so many times that you can easily position yourself behind them. And if the enemy team doesn't respond to these players, they're just going to get so much out of the map.
Nice long jump from Carl is going to be able to catch. Oh no, Soxa caught him with the telekinesis and stole balling.
I really like that point because pass into a flank. And the trouble is when you play around them and they don't push their limits, you end up feeling completely useless because nothing's happening on the map. When you play around these guys that know what to do, to get in there, that create action and chaos, suddenly you have a purpose.
I feel like occasionally our casts just serve as a sort of therapy for Kyle to be able to get over his former team experiences.
I'm just here for the Dota cap. It's nice to watch players best of their abilities.
Long jump forward. Zep can be caught, but immediately there is going to be the purge coming out from No-Tail, but they still can keep going. Duel going out, just trying to keep this Thunderstorm in place, but it's going to be a duel that is actually not one, just ever so barely. Turns around, nice stun, but mana, okay, they don't want to chase any longer, and it's probably for the...
Love Seb's filter. He had the Echo Saber queued up initially, but I think Mage Slayer, even as the offlaner, is just the right choice. It's something I love about OG is that they're always getting these items that are right for the game to help out the heroes that count. In this case, it was Clark.
I'm interested to see how this Mage Slayer plays out.
Oops out of the magic missile. Thinking about pursuing here, especially with the Stormship being chased away there a bit. He can't come back to join the team fight perhaps, and they're going to be able to hit a nice two-man stun. Cuckoo, he'll be the first to die, but remember, he's got that extra life. Throws out a magic missile, keeping Sumail back. T1, they do a pretty good job. They do have BKB on the trolls, and they might be turning this. BKB, there it goes. Who's it going to target? They swap back in, no kill, which is who they want to be able to gun for. They finally get off the look out, and Sumail, he doesn't have any mana. They lock him down, finish him off. Nicely played by T1. 50 seconds, he's dead for T1, turning on a dime. They're so good at kiting team fights back and re-engaging.
Yeah,
They're battlers, they're brawlers, and OG are playing to their strengths.
Yeah, I think this game they have a draft that can
Keep DSJ.
and put them in a position that they didn't feel like they knew what to do.
Yeah.
But this time around, they're playing perfectly. I think one of the key things for these teamfights, Vengeful Spirit is one of the best heroes against saves, because you can either swap the save hero out of position, or you swap the hero that you're going on out of position, so the save hero can't use his spell.
It's deceptive because OG, they kill the bench and they feel good, right? But Tuku is fine with that. Suddenly his spells are back up. A great setup. And then Whitemon gets the double ice path to ensure the kills. And 23 Savage, I was like, man, you're in some big trouble. But he had to save the ulti, because if he pops it while he's still in Wukong, then the whole fight just takes place under Seb. And T1 are really just done for. But because he gets it off so much later, Sumail's now out of position with no ultimate. They have no Wukong, so they really have just no save left. And suddenly things turn out A-okay. But still, anybody's game.
Absolutely. Anybody could do this though.
What do you think of the Aghanim on Sumail? I feel like that's an item for when you're snowballing hard. Like, the double pounce is nice, but, you know, it doesn't feel like he's strong enough to just kind of get into the middle of T1 and battle at the moment.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I think the idea is probably just to be able to get in, kill one, get out, or catch Storm, chase him down, like, just more disable, more mobility. I think it's always hard to question mobility. It's always so strong, especially in these types of games.
Is there any way it can answer, like, the swap? Right? He pounces one, they get swapped out of it, but he can still keep going, right?
Yeah.
Question, the thing is, I just fear, like, this is the Venge factor. Like, Troll's just a stronger carry. Even though Sumail's slightly ahead in the network, if you look at the itemization, just Falcon Blade, Maelstrom, BKB with the Venge behind you. Like, that Venge counts as that extra item. And that means, you know, Sumail won't really be able to trade too well against 23.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for OG, it's not about the carry killing the other carry, it's more about how can you kill out the supports.
Yeah.
I think both the supports of T1 have been doing a great job of knowing their limit and surviving on the silver account.
Oh, they managed to catch him, but there's going to be the defensive swap. 23 Savage is going in. He's going to try and deal with Thompson first, but it's still a swap from Size. He's going to be able to get around the overgrowth, catching Sumail again while the Dark Backwards down. Cuckoo dies, but immediately comes back as a spirit, catching Seth, swapping him out of his own ultimate, and keeping him in place. 23 Savage keeping the rest at bay. His team can deal with leftover behind Seth. They're straight ferocious.
I mean, the points. Zane just said it. Like, they just straight up in that fight. Zephyr also has Holy Locket, Heal Talent. Yeah, you can initiate on my scroll. A ridiculous amount of heal and armor. And then there's an Ice Path on 3 heroes.
Yeah.
Like, Sumail doesn't do damage.
Something very interesting that Zephyr also did this game is he maxed out Leech Seed. I don't think I've ever seen that done before, but to be honest, I've been on the panel. It's been hard to see exact skill builds for people, but it makes a lot of sense to me to see the game play out and how it plays out. If anything goes on the backline, he drops Leech Seed, they all get healed, they're playing like a ball, so it just gives all of them so much effective health.
Yep. 35% healing increase as well, so obviously it doesn't help you with your grasp, but it just ensures that you're going to have even more sustain for your allies.
Yep.
And they're really not able. I feel like you want to find Whitemon in the back end of your hero, but it's just not a possibility. And even if you were to do so, Cuckoo has the swap. The Venge really seems like it's paying off. Like, we questioned it, but it gives them that ability to wall up, to your point.
Yeah.
Because you have all this sustain and a little bit of a damage amplification, so your carry just, all of a sudden, 2k ahead with Vegas.
I think the difficult part of the game for T1 was really getting to this point. Getting to the point where they can ball up. OG now, I think they're gonna have to try to split them up. They're gonna have to force these heroes out of position and force like multiple initiations at once. They have the tools to do it. You just gotta be able to get the Ember going on one target, get the Slark in on another. Because if they're all balling down on the same hero, it's just gonna be faulty.
And one nice pick off the BKB from Thompson. His combo to overgrowth from Zephyr still has a decent amount of magic immunity time, but is it going to be enough to be able to get him out of this hell? His T1 surrounding him with so many heroes, and he's out of remnants. He is out of double kill for Carl.
Oxen, BKB into the tree, shot by Zephyr. Another reason the hero seems very strong in T1's hand. They needed their own tool of BKB.
Yeah.
They've got it now. Sanjay Nash on the phone. It really feels like it's T1's game to lose now. 24-10. You got to be feeling yourselves. Still anybody's game in terms of like the gold differential, but you know, if anyone would agree with us, it's probably Seb, who hates the fact that you see net worth on the top of the screen, because that has nothing to do with who's winning in a game of Dota. It's about timing, it's about team composition, and it does feel like Dota Plus has that same idea, because he less than 1,000 gold, 81% win rate. You got to figure T1 going to outscale.
Yeah, I mean, I think they weathered the storm, so to speak. Like, they OG needed to take control and take control early. And absolutely, they gotta play these fast.
23 Savage was potentially punish him. Not gonna be the really needed duel. The swap from Sox is still stolen and still managed to get out No Tail. Bounce forward, Smail does manage to get on top of the support, so there is gonna be Whitemont down. An important member of T1. So now these team fights and swap back in. They'll manage to get the duel. 23 Savage gets the duel off. Smail keeping him inside of Who Comes Command, where he will die there. OG finally managed to win a team fight, a big one at that, where they get 3, and Carl thought maybe they could turn around on a Seb, but Seb does have Samael right behind him, so even if they do manage to kill this Monkey King, they may be losing both of them here, as
Oh no, 23 Savage.
Win together, slay
bad time for
win together, slay together, slay together, slay together.
So,
Was
like
he
we talked
lagging
about,
30 seconds ago? He was farming tower by himself.
this is the thing, right? If they ever drop this ball, they don't have the positioning, they don't have the way they don't position their heroes the way they were doing earlier. This is what's going to happen. And OG are always on the prowl. I think they're going to take over the entire map now, try to clear out the vision, and then make sure that they are able to continue chasing the T1 heroes down once they spawn.
He's got 196 extra agility.
Damn.
Can't click the Monkey King, don't click me, man.
This is very unfortunate, because that was a stolen bench stun, and I think Carl might
Yeah, they're going to be able to catch both of them. They do manage to finish off Seb, which was what the original trap was laid for. But it doesn't matter.
53 stacks on Sunela. He has 212 bonus agility.
Yeah, it's almost as, I mean, more than the 196 I pointed out 10 seconds ago. I'm leading this TriCast and doing observing. The least you could do is listen to me when I talk, Kyle.
I'm so focused there. The Dota is fantastic. Okay, so
It's
we already
true.
see the big mistake has just happened, which is somehow 23 Savage is dead alone in front of tower. Then comes out immediately BKBs, which I think is actually a mistake here, because suddenly he can't, like, he's backing with BKB, right? And to your point, Aiden, they now don't have the tools to properly position a fight. He has to use ulti. He's swapped in, wins the duel, but look at how this fight happens now, right? Everybody's zoned by the root bombs, and he's just stuck inside of it. This is when Monkey King plays well into troll. If you can force this, you're gonna always be happy.
Yeah, it's just the Monkey King arena here just zones off anything, but they really need the bench to be present when they take the fight.
He's still got some stats going, and he's not slowing down whatsoever. These bounces are staying on top of these supports. They cannot seem to get away. Swap back in, no tail. Now he's in an awkward position. They're going to jump on a 23 Savage, turns around, bombs a BKB before the stun's coming from the Monkey King. Again, he's going to retreat with that BKB. No, he's going to finish off Samael. Turns around real quick, blows him up. Doesn't manage to get the swap back in, and 23 Savage heals up just a little bit. Can he finish off Seb before he stay alive? He does. Trying to finish off 23 Savage does get that one with the BKB. Might be able to get 2 here. Zephyr, just one slide away from dying. Actually does die to Soxa. Gaining up 2, TPing out, doesn't leave him behind.
you're
no
dead.
mana for the pull. We were talking to No Tail the other day. He
Somebody
said
was
one flame is the
home
best
was
because you
coming.
can use it when you're winning or you're losing. It's the best flame or a way to keep your team motivated. As we once again hit a pause. Oh, but it's nice to take a break.
Yeah, this has been a very, very exciting game.
I like this.
Nice
like-
to get the pulse down a bit. Absolutely.
Why are you guys looking at me?
You're in charge.
Okay, analyst.
It's paused currently. I
Oh.
don't think much is happening.
That's a good observation. I didn't realize that.
You're welcome. That's
We have a
10K MMR
replay.
analysis
You
for
can
right
you
there.
can break down this replay
Feel
that
free,
I
Kyle.
shouted.
Well, No Tail does not have his W available. Sumel uses Dark Pact. Then you're going to see Sumel go right back in again and Dark Pact. However, he does not press his ultimate button and gets immediately silenced as it fades by Carl just before he tanked that stolen Venge stun. So, Sumel dies as No Tail had no ability to save his carry.
Sick timing from Carl. That was
Yes,
really good.
That was very good. And that's what makes playing into the Slark so difficult, because it's like, of all heroes that kind of demonstrate the frustrating nature of Dota, it's like, did you get the Orchid? Okay, well, you've won the fight. Oh, did he hit Q or R just as you did? Well, you've lost the fight, and them's the breaks.
I think you gotta love gamble if you want to play Slark. It's like
Yeah.
a little bit of it, right? It's a mind game of am I gonna Q or am I not? So we were having this discussion on the panel earlier about what if you showed mana bars for both sides? Like if you could see the enemy team's mana bars. A hero like Slark would instantly die, right? It would just ruin the concept of Dark Pact because you just see the mana bar
Yeah.
move. So it was a hard no on my end.
Indeed, and I will say I would also love if we both play. Oh, hang on. Oh, Thompson.
Not gonna be able to get away. Maybe his spear can be out. They do have the tree protector on the way. And they're kind of realizing they're not going to go for the spear at all. In fact, if anything, they may be swapped back to Doom here. Seb, gonna be silenced. Carl not fully committing to this one, though. We haven't seen the Slark just yet. Cuckoo. He's going to try and start backing away. Thompson's looking for some of these heroes. Samael pounces forward. He's going to go for Whitemon here. Starts stealing some of those stacks. Tries to sink on top of him and should be able to get that kill on the right-hand side. Thompson does catch the other support at the same time. That's going to be Zephyr. At the same time, Samael has to be careful here, especially with Cuckoo. His spirit is going to get burned down, but he could buy back if he wants to and rejoin this fight as a full-out hero. No longer the king.
Middle tower is
Giving this
under
fight to
attack.
OG.
The LC shard is so good because that TKB time gives you those extra seconds to almost always have Dark Pact back.
Yeah,
And I thought Sumel had overextended once again, but No Tail this time was ready to save.
Yep. And if you just think about this game, like, how many times did we just see T1 absolutely, like, outplay, play to their limit, do all these small things right? And despite that, like, the game is fairly even.
Yeah. Low probability back in OG.
Yeah.
At the same time though, like this is the trouble. Like you're playing against OG and you make a pretty big mistake up top. Give away that Aegis advantage that if you swap roles, maybe OG utilized to get a
They're just so good at applying the pressure, right? They're always in your face, and you're always forced to play extremely sharp. And the second you stop, that's what happens.
Oh, we got it!
Get the pounds. The team's coming in, but it's too late. Carl's already dead. Double damage of Samael made short work of Carl and OG. They could just keep going. Certainly are going to looking for somebody here. Zephyr not spotted it. See,
Carl has buyback though. Would not be surprised to see him use.
yeah, considering how aggressively T1 is positioned, even though they're missing their mid laner, Seb. He sees this. He spotted some heroes right now. Swap back into the Axe Path. That's a good hold, but he did not manage to get it in. Snare out. The troll did not get lucky, and Cuckoo will die for what he thought was going to be an Ember Spirit kill. Bounce through the spear. Doesn't actually latch on top of him. It's going to be the spear being gone as well. I can't believe T1 tried that. It was a risk, and it was not a calculated one.
Yeah, this is looking really, really good for OG now. They're knocking at their door.
Bottom tower is under attack.
And this is where things get a little spooky, just because suddenly OG have this ability to play like T1 were kiting while they were controlling the area, but now suddenly OG's reach potential has doubled. They have the Aghanims on both cores. 7
Is no more. middle
now for the
tower is
Jakiro
under
tree to
attack.
set up like we saw them do so effectively in the mid game,
Yeah.
because suddenly Sumail's just gunning for them.
Yeah, OG's getting the initiation in all these last fights. They're getting the kind of jumps that they want. They want these fights when their T1 is not balled up. T1 needs the ball where it feels impossible for OG to commit in. But it might be reaching that point where Sumail is now tanky enough to go in, knowing that he has no tail to purge him, and he can just apply all the pressure.
He has the Scotty as well, so Silver Edge to boot. Feeling very good. And it also feels like a lot of these fights are starting when he already has some stacks built up. It's definitely been helpful.
So you notice top here, he just goes in, pushes the wave a little bit, makes sure it's going in the right direction, and now he's already moving over to the next pit.
No Tails camping pit. I'm sure he's aware that this will be up momentarily, and there it is.
Team 1,
They go.
they know this timing as well. They're sweeping over to the Roshan pit. They have no idea how low it is. Now they get some vision. Cuckoo spots that Sumail is trying to solo it. Both teams just going to hold their side of the high ground around Roshan.
Yep. And this is like a classic standout fight. Neither team really wants to fight into their team's smoke. So now it's going to be like a little bit of a strategic game of who can get the smoke. You're trying to wait here to get a timing where the enemy team is not ready. So something that you might see teams do around this time is, if you look at the clock up top, it says 33:40, right? So you know at every complete minute the camps spawn. So you know that the heroes are going to be around the jungle at that timing when the camps are spawning. Because you know they're grouped up, there's not a lot of farm on the map available to them. So that's a potential timing for you to make a move. But it seems like OG, they recognize that they're just balled up. So they send tops onto the side lane, push it out, get more info, and then make it play based on that.
Grabs the double damage and manages to get the pounce, and it's going to force out the swap from Cuckoo and probably get him killed as he's pulled back in by the telekinesis. His spirit will manage.
Who cares, right? You're still in the game. Sumail's being a lot more disciplined as well, though, with the ultimate usage. It's now preemptive, which I think is the key.
The Storm Spirit had to go all the way back to Fountain, so may not be here unless he wants to make a real gun at it and go for a long, long zip. Keep the vision inside. Sumail's double damage is going to wear out. Storm's going to start TPing onto the outpost. Thompson is in. Thompson's going straight up for those supports. Sumail, not sure where he's going to, but 23 Savage is a little bit isolated here. Cuckoo's trying to keep pace to make sure he can swap back 23 Savage, get him away from Sumail, while Seb is getting back the rest of these heroes. Thompson's going to be able to finish up Zeb, that's going to be first. 23 Savage looks at Zeb. Carl commits with the Aghanim Zeb. They're pulling them both in, but inside that Monkey King ultimate, they don't feel great. Again, the stolen swaps coming out from Saxo is going to be able to keep his cores feeling good and feeling aggressive. Telepieces tossed back, chained up together. Toss duel going out. No tell. They try to run quickly, kill him. Winner, and Carl gets away before Sumail can cross him down. Sumail doesn't kill. He's going to be able to go for the support and may still be able to catch Carl. Carl, no mana. Sumail bounce on top of him. They catch him. 4 dead on the side of Team 1. And now Roshan is going to go the way of OG.
So this team fight, I don't see any other player than Thompson doing this. But you notice how he just straight up into no vision, rolls in with the Ember. He knows that they're there. He's playing off of the fact that he knows that they're positioned there. That's how 95% of supports are going to position themselves when their cores are running into the roach pit. And they get this team fight where there's like basically 4 fights going on at once. Thompson's chasing supports. You have Sumail chasing 23 Savage, and you're forcing T1 to not be able to use that swap to just save whoever's getting initiated on. It's really, really smart gameplay coming out from OG, and they're doing a lot of this blind. They're not playing off of vision, they're playing off of where they think they're doing, what they think they're doing, and their game sense.
They're just forcing skirmishes.
Yeah.
Were unable to do earlier in the game. And I even love the way like they're itemizing with this knowledge of like how they're gonna play. Thompson is going refresher. Like he is playing for like these quick fights. It's all about survival for OG. Create chaos. T1, they need a more coordinated method to win fights. Like they need to kind of control. You saw even that when Savage got kills, it was with like 3 or 4 heroes collapsing. You actually had targets, the big ice path. OG, they're just, you know, pre-ulting on Sumail, spamming dark packs. You got No Tail just kind of waiting the wings to get off cleanses. Top is gonna have 10 remnants. How do you hit a man who's invulnerable and flying through you?
I wouldn't be surprised to see it right after the refresher.
Very Very nice item switching up. I think that makes sense just because it boosts your regen time when you're off map.
It's just not really anything he needs to flicker. He has enough purge with the Dark Pact at this point that the lifesteal is just
Paladin Sword's doubly effective because he's still got the shard too,
precisely.
right?
Good point. Slark Shroud is so broken. Troll will end up attacking no one if used.
Can actually save against the semi-black hole coming out from the Storm Spirit with the Aghanim Scepter.
Huzzah!
Yeah, I think for OG it's going to be important to continue taking fights like that, where they can predict where their supports are going to be positioned, and Thompson can just roll in. He's just continuously going to do this, I'm sure. He's just going to jump into the back lines. He knows he has like 5 different jumps, so eventually he'll find them. There are only so many spots that they could be hiding in.
He also
And the 25 talent, right?
Yeah, he talented totally for Searing Chains as well. So you're just going to see him zipping back and forth chains.
Fuku did still manage to get the swap, but 23 Savage can't hit him right now. Sumail, his ultimate was used, still on the Depth Shroud. They're going to turn around and start doing some damage. On to Carl, they do something to Sumail, but he's going to be popping his BKB. 23 Savage responds in kind. Fall, Spirit Form now. They do manage to get the nice lockdown. Macro Fire going out. The Ice Pack can actually lock down. Drops the Refresher. BKB still potentially up. He's guided around and ripped apart by the rest of OG. Now with no carry, T1 very likely going to be dying here unless Carl could do something magical by himself, but he just doesn't have it in him. Doesn't have level 25 or the shard. Wow. GG is called. OG will take the second game here against T1. T1 definitely putting up a much better fight. But you gotta think back to that moment. 23 Savage just way